I love the fact that there's so many layers to the character that, you know, that she reveals very slowly, or it gets revealed very slowly who she is. And so it's always really interesting to play many different kinds of, whether you reveal or you show, or, but just also very many different layers. I mean, she gets to do so much. So I loved it.
Yeah, one of the element, I guess, just because she's so out of context, there are a lot of funny scene between you and
Ah,
Kiefer Sutherland and between you and Charles Dance. I really enjoy them. And I read that even Kiefer Sutherland found this scene really, lighthearted for the show. So I want to ask you, how was it for you? Did you enjoy, the fun part of the series?
yeah, absolutely. But I always just try, even though, so there's two things that happen. So I am enjoying it. It's funny and fun to me, but then I always just try to play it for what is actually happening, because it's the situation that's happening. So you still play it, or you're still like, these are life and death situations. But I think
Yeah.
also the writing, there was sort of a charm about the way our writers wrote the script and this character, and an intelligence. But there was something a little lighthearted about, even though we're talking about big concepts,
Yeah.
that's what was interesting to play with.
And then the storytelling, it's so tense, and then suddenly you have this scene that kind of made you laugh. So I really found brilliant all the story, all the interpretation,
Thank you.
all the story, really,
Because
really brilliant.
that's what happens in life, like you're because at the end we're just humans, and
Yeah.
so we might be in these big things, but the little details of the way, especially men and women,
Yeah.
especially if there's any romance involved or anything like that, then it just becomes ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it was great to be playing that as there are these bigger concepts that we're having.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And so the show is clearly a spy story, but I guess there is action, of course. But for me, it was more psychological, because even me as a viewer, I cannot trust these characters at all. They are not telling me the truth. So for me, trust is one of the main themes in the show, because it's really important, an important element. And I want to ask you, which was for you the most powerful asset or aspect of the show in all this story?
I would say for me, it was the trust between Hailey and John Weir, because the whole time they want to trust each other, but they don't think they should. And it's a big tennis match. It's am I gonna love you really at the end? Are you gonna be part of my tribe? Or are you good for me? Or is so it's such an interesting thing to play. That was the big thing, like the trust between the characters.
And one other big element of the show is clearly, all the data, internet, all the stuff. And I want to ask you if, according to you, there is, a shadow of criticism about what is happening in the world. People, I don't think it's really criticism, but there is an analysis of what is happening. So I want to ask you, how do you see the context of the show?
Well, absolutely. Well, because it touches on the fact that data and these algorithms, every time we get on, the internet or use our cell phones, that our information is being, used to sell us something, to make us make certain decisions. It's a big part of it, how you manipulate. And now we were just talking about some of the movies in the 80s, and it was Russia versus the East versus the West. And now it's kind of, the West or the world, humanity versus technology.
Yeah.
So these are, it's set in that world and it's set around that world, but then it's a spy situation, it's lighthearted. But I think sometimes in these genres, you can talk about bigger concepts and still just be fun, you know?